so excited to share the cover of my upcoming book, Dear Black Girls. Writing and journaling has always been an outlet for me, a therapeutic way to make sense of my thoughts and my ideas. And as I've grown from a girl into a woman, navigating the world and playing the game that I love, it's become increasingly important to me to build community and connect more deeply with Black girls and women, not just in South Carolina or Las Vegas, but all over the world. My life has been filled with ups and downs, and I hope that by sharing these experiences and my journey with the world, girls just like me will feel more seen and heard and supported. I'm so grateful for my publisher for helping me make this dream of mine into a reality. Let's go.
Let's go for real. I love me some Asia Wilson. Like, I am
Yes.
so obsessed with her. And of course she has a book coming out. And of course it's entitled Dear Black Girl, because like, that's just Asia Wilson. And so
I love that.
I was really thinking about this and how I want to talk about this, because like I could just give Asia her flowers, which she deserves so many. But I just, Dear Black Girls is just so fitting for Asia, because I think she is a Black girl's girl, So you always hear the phrase a girl's girl, and she is a girl's girl, but I think she's a Black girl's girl. And shout out to Big Lo from the committee, right? Because she tweeted something about this, Asia being a Black girl's girl. She actually did like a thread on it like a few weeks ago. But she talks about why it was so important to her. And of course, there's all different kinds of women. And it really resonated with me. And so when I saw this book, I thought about it. And before I give my thoughts, I want to know from both of you, like, here it is, Asia Wilson is a girl's girl. And to take it even further, a Black girl's girl through and through. She has ascended to the top of a professional league as a face, being an authentic, real ass Black girl. No, we are not a monolith, but she really represents us, right? And this is really important for the conversation we're about to have now, because there's something that what I think Lo is hinting at. I don't want to speak for her and say what her words are, but so often as Black women, as Black people, we have to go through life code switching. We cannot be our authentic selves. In the height of George Floyd, or the aftermath, when that all happened, I remember on LinkedIn, and LinkedIn is not a platform that I use in the way that I use social media, though some people do, like other forms of social media, I should say. But one of the things I did is I wrote a couple of commentaries, not like true pieces, but I wrote about some experiences that I had had in corporate America for people who I've worked with in corporate America to see, right? And that's not something I ever shared. But one of the stories that I told was about the fact that at a former company I used to work for, where we did a lot of sales, how my colleagues could never understand why after the day was done, and we are, keep in mind, we're already traveling for business, and we are, after you have all these meetings, you're away, then they'd be like, let's go to dinner, let's go here, let's do this. And I never wanted to go. And they'd be like, damn, they just thought I was antisocial. They never understood why I didn't want to go. And I explained in that post that I said, when I spend my entire day assimilating to be a part of the majority, when the day is over, when the work meetings are done, there's nothing more that I want to do than go home and leave, be by myself, be with the people where I don't have to switch, where I don't have to assimilate, where I can be my authentic self. Let me tell you, I had so many coworkers hitting me, contacting me, texting me, apologizing. And my point wasn't to get apologies, but it's just something that you don't understand if you're not Black. You don't understand if you're not a Black woman. And so I feel like Asia just represents Black woman. She's her authentic self, and she represents many of us. Again, we're not a monolith, like Lo said, friend of the show, Big Lo, but it just really resonated with me. So I want to, pitch it to you guys. I know I was long-winded, but I want to know what it means to you for Asia to be writing this book, and if you agree with Lo on her being a Black girl's girl.
Kelsey, I'm happy to. Okay.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Kelsey.
I felt like you, Nat, when I first saw this book was coming out. I remember, growing up, and I used to love reading books. I still do. I just don't have the time as much now. But to see a book that is meant for us, and I don't remember that, growing up. And I just, remember just, when you're a young Black girl and in the community I grew up in, kind of like you, Nat, and then just working in corporate America or just working here in Washington, D.C., there's so many times, where you feel like you've had to kind of assimilate, so often, or, I remember, people, just saying, oh, you're really articulate, or, just things like that, obviously, like those microaggressions and obviously that very offensive things that we just have to face, so often, as Black women, or, questioning your hair and, everything else that comes with it. And it takes me back to the, Coco Jones quote when she won her award. I forgot the award show exactly it was, but when she said her quote, for Black women and what we have to do so much more and how we have to do it better. But for someone, like Asia, who I think represents so much, many of us played sports, growing up, and obviously she's playing it, at the top level, like you said, being unapologetically her. And folks, I want people to realize the world was not always like it is right now. Like now we're living in a world, I think, where we have so many allies as Black women who are telling us it's okay to be yourself. But, often growing up, it wasn't that, don't be too loud, be humble as much as you can, say thank you as much as you can. And it was nobody really telling you to just be you and be yourself. And so I think her to write this book, I think it's going to mean so much to so many of us to be able to read it and to know that we live in a world where we have allies and other Black women that are much like us. I'm just so excited. And I'm glad this is a whole nother side that we get to see of Asia Wilson and her story and her journey. And I hope she knows what this is going to do for so many, not even just young girls, but probably women who even came before us, ladies, that never had those allies, are people to tell them, be you, shine. This Black girl magic phase that we're living in, I think is so special. So I love this for her. I love this for us. And I love the be true to you. And I think that's something we need to tell our young women. Be true to yourself. Don't feel like you ever have to change to the world. I think all three of us right now on camera are true to that. Like we've been ourselves and have all been able to matriculate in a world where maybe people didn't always want us to be ourselves and matriculate, maybe wanting us to be other people. So all in all, Asia, I just want to say thank you to you for writing this. I'm going to get it February when it comes out in 2024. I'll get my book, or I know you can pre-order now, but just so excited for this and just so excited for what it's going to represent. I think, for so many of us, and I'm talking specifically about Black women. So thank you for being a Black girl's girl. Thank you for being the highest level of Black girl magic. And thank you for exubrating Black excellence.
Wow, you guys have really summed up like so much of the same feelings that I have regarding this. I mean, Asia's absolutely a Black girl's girl, but it is such a nuanced conversation to have because there are so many different elements. I mean, I'm not that young. I ain't that old either, but I ain't that young. And I remember even in this business as being in sports media, we did not always have the ability and opportunity to be our authentic selves. There was a time, not even that far ago, because if we're keeping it a buck, I want to say it was 2020 George Floyd era when people really started to recognize that we really existed. I didn't hear about DE&I before then. Now, if there were DE&I, if there were people who worked in diversity, equity, and inclusion before then, it furthers my point that I didn't know you existed. In my place of business, I didn't know you existed in that way because people didn't care about including us. They didn't care about what our feelings were. They didn't care about how we were able to, matriculate through our companies, whether that's corporate America, whether that's even in small businesses. It didn't matter. Like we didn't always feel like we mattered. And now we're at a place. I was just saying earlier how I remember when there were moments where I wouldn't have been comfortable coming on national television in my braids. I wouldn't have been comfortable wearing a nose ring. Like those type of things were not things that were accepted. So even now being able to be our authentic selves, it's just something that's really being accepted because it wasn't something highly favored even 5 years ago, let alone 10 years ago. So it is so wonderful for young women now to come up and see women like Asia Wilson who don't have to fabricate a story for TV, who don't have to pretend to be something that they're not, who don't have to code switch to be successful, because a lot of us have been code switching for a very long time, not even realizing that we're doing it just as a survival mode, just as a defense mechanism, because we knew that we needed to do this in order to be able to carefully and meticulously go through life without the stereotypes that come along with being a Black woman, about being aggressive, about being loud, about being a diva and all this other stuff. So I love that Asia has been able to find success in her personal life. She's a business owner. She's, an obvious superstar in the WNBA. But I love that she's been able to represent the state of South Carolina and just have been able to put, all of this on her back, really, and have been able to do so gracefully, despite the things that people may have said about her, despite, the people that don't speak her name when they should speak her name. She's still been able to maintain who she actually is. And I don't always mean who you are as an individual or a person, because I think the thing about it is a lot of us have maintained who we are as people. We haven't switched who we are as in terms of what our values are, or in terms of, what our priorities are. But we've often have to switch how we look. We've often have to switch how we speak. We've often have to switch how we dress. Those are the things that, we've had to switch in order to fit in, per se. And having someone like Asia who's saying you don't have to switch your appearance, you don't have to switch, how you are presented to the world. We talk about this in the WNBA a lot when it comes to, gay women, women who are in a part of the LGBTQ community and their marketability out here. They have to switch who they are, or people want them to switch who they are and how they present themselves in order to be considered marketable and profitable. And it's books like Asia's that continue to share, no, you don't. So I love this. Yeah. I have pre-ordered mine. I cannot wait to read it. I am on board.
Thank you. Thank you, both of you, because this conversation I felt was really important to have, and I'm glad that we got to.
Hey, thank you for watching Brother from Another. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that now. Don't forget, you can catch us 3 to 4 weekdays on PeacockTV.com and on Sirius XM Channel 85.